6 statements are given about programming languages. Tick to show whether each statement applies to high-level language, assembly language, or machine code. Some statements may apply to more than one type of programming language. The first statement says, it requires a translator to be processed by a computer. The CPU in a computer is used to process any instructions or programs. Generally, the instructions that are sent to the CPU are in the format of binary, in other words, zeros or ones. High-level language source code comprises of English-like statements. Assembly language comprises of mnemonics, and machine code comprises of binary. In this case, both high-level language and assembly language require translators to be processed by a computer, as the instructions from both need to be converted into binary before the CPU can understand them. The next statement says it is an example of low-level language. Low-level languages are languages that sit very close to the computer's instruction set, meaning that the instructions in our low-level languages are structurally very similar to the processor's instruction set. For this reason, assembly language is a low-level language, and machine code is low-level. The next statement says it uses mnemonics. High-level languages use English-like statements in their instructions. Machine code uses generally binary or hexadecimal, so that must mean that assembly languages use mnemonics to make up their instructions. The next statement, it uses English-like statements. We've already said that high-level languages use English-like statements. The next statement says it can be used to directly manipulate hardware in the computer. Directly manipulating hardware in the computer would mean directly accessing the registers in the CPU, the control units, the ALU, the accumulator, and other hardware on our motherboard. This would require instructions that sit very close to the processor's instruction sets, which is going to be our low-level languages, such as assembly and machine code. Whilst there are libraries in high-level languages that can manipulate hardware, they cannot directly manipulate the hardware. In other words, a single high-level instruction can be broken down into many machine code instructions to perform a single action. This means that single high-level instruction cannot directly manipulate a singular piece of hardware within our computer. The last statement says it is portable. Both assembly language and machine code depend on the instruction set of the CPU. High-level languages are a lot more portable, meaning we can run high-level language programs on many different computers through the use of translators such as compilers and interpreters. This would mean that high-level languages are portable. And there we go, that is this question completed.